Hello everyone, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast. We have our special coaches preview today on the show. I'd love to say state champ, but not quite. Yeah. Second place finish from Misha, Class 5 last year, Webster Groves High School. I will be honest, I did not see that one coming, but we have the head coach there, Dave Wiggins, who did a magnificent job with that group last year, and you guys made a fantastic run into the Final Four and played a heck of a game against Willard in that championship game. Dave, congratulations again on that accomplishment.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I always, it's tough because, you always think everybody goes, oh man, second place. Everybody wants to win the championship. I get it, and there's only one team that wins the last game of the season. But, there's no way you can take away what you guys did last year and a great season. And it's hard to get the kids to understand that sometimes, isn't it?
It is. Our senior group from last year, they'd been telling us since they were freshmen that they were going to take us to a state championship, and they made good on that promise. And that was really, really cool. For those boys to come in as freshmen and basically call their shot and say, we were going to be the ones to take you guys. And, me being a new coach, I didn't know what it took to win a state championship or, for that matter, even get to a Final Four. But I found out throughout the years, it doesn't just take good baseball players. It takes a lot of trust and buy-in from the players, from the staff. We got to trust them. They got to trust us. And building relations with those kids and making it more about baseball and more about just doing this. This is something we've come together to do as a group, as a family. It's not a summer ball activity where it's a tournament every weekend. It's a journey, and goal number one is to win districts, right? And then once you achieve goal number one, that's something we hadn't done in quite some time. So we won districts. It was almost like, man, we're playing with house money, and we played with reckless abandon after that, and took down some really good teams in the process. Ultimately falling to Willard, but that's when you look at the top four in that class, and they give you the program when you get to the Ozarks, and you get to see everyone's numbers and who they played and all that. See kind of our record versus Kearney's record versus Willard's record versus Zumwalt South's record, and it was clear that we were the underdog there, and we loved it. We were excited, and we wanted to show what we could do. So. I thought the boys just did an outstanding job of rising to that occasion.
You did, and I would agree. And for us here with Youth Baseball Midwest, I really enjoy. I've always enjoyed. Love our conversations. I think you're a heck of a good coach, but you have to look at things in a realistic standpoint when it comes to you start talking about teams and whatnot. Willard, especially to be honest, I thought Fort Zumwalt South was the team to beat in the tournament with their pitching, and they were stacked. They had been there the last, 2 out of 3 years. That team was primed. They had their guys, and they fell short, and that happens. See, so you can't predict it. And a team like, you had good talent, you had guys, they bought into your system, and I think that's the thing. And I think in any level, especially when you're playing at a championship level, a head coach doesn't necessarily coach the team anymore. He's there to make sure that the ship stays in the right direction.
Could not agree more. It first starts with having really good assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm biased, but I have the two best assistant coaches that you could have at the high school level. Coach Key and Coach Clark, they're the glue that keeps us together. Key and I, we're not in the building. Clark is. that was huge for us last year, having an extension of our staff who was in the building, who could have those conversations with the kids on a scholastic level versus just, talk about baseball, but talk about school, talk about life. Um, be able to relay messages from Key or myself to them during the school day. Um, but just the utmost faith and trust that I have in those two to run our system that we came up with, as a collective. I ran the offense, Key ran the pitch calling, he ran the defense, Clark helped with the defense, Clark coached first base. Like, we've got a really cool system where I don't feel like I have to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
And as a head coach, you don't want to fall into that boat of, man, I got to run the offense. I got to know what pitch to call. I got to set the defense. I got to know, I got to talk to this parent, they sent me an email this time. I got to talk to the AD about this. I got to make sure, that we're all set to get on the bus to go to this school at this time. It's a whole lot. And coming from the club world, it took me a while to figure out, like, you're more of an administrator than you are a baseball coach as a head coach. So you need really good assistants that you can trust. I can confidently say if I was sick or I had to miss a game, those two could coach that game and we would not miss a beat. We're on the same page. We get along really well. We all have the same goals. Um, but I mean, that's just a massive part of, especially going that far and what it takes to get that far, especially for a school like us where we have to be prepared day in and day out. We have to know our opponent. We have to know our competition, the amount of scouting man hours that goes into scouting that Coach Key would, he'd go watch a game with a video camera. He would score it on iScore, different things he would do that I don't quite want to divulge, but just get. And our team would have a very good report on who we were about to play. The boys would buy in. They would read that report. They would get to know who they're about to play. That's why the state champion, or that Final Four was so tough on us, is because the only team we really knew anything about was Zumwalt South, because we had played them already and we can see their stats on STL today. We can kind of get an idea of who they are, numbers wise. And we didn't know anything about Kearney or Willard. I don't think we couldn't find a way to find their numbers. We found some. I think it's Republic does some really cool live streaming of their games, so we're able to watch Kearney play Republic a couple times. Like, we did everything we could to try to find out what we could about those teams, but you can never really go as in depth as you want to when you're playing teams from other areas that you don't see, that you don't necessarily know a whole lot about. So just having to be as prepared as we can, I leave a lot of that to them. Like, my thing is more like, I got to get the boys ready. They need to get ahead of where me and the boys are, and they've got to let us know, hey, here's how we're going to attack this team. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what they're going to do, on the mound. Here's their lineup. Things that, I would even find out a couple days prior, and I would start to implement that they'd known weeks in advance. So it's just, it's hard. It's hard for high school kids to initially, realize, like, hey, we are, once this game ends and we're playing, say we're playing Northwest and that game ends, like, the post game talk might be a minute about that game. The next 5 minutes are, okay, here's our next opponent. Here's how we're going to attack them. Here's what we're looking for. Here's who we expect to see on the bump. Here's who we know can swing it. And it's about getting them ready to go get that next opponent the moment that game ends, and having their eyes and their minds set on, okay, this is where we're going now. This is who we have to go beat in a day, 2 days, whatever. It's not easy sometimes for those guys to erase that loss that just happened, that crushing loss, or, be pumped about that big win, but then have to shift gears right away. Okay, cool, we won, that's fine, but now we got to go win this game, and here's how we're going to try to do it. And I give those boys a lot of credit for taking that advanced scouting and really being able to implement what we needed them to implement to get the job done.
There you go. Well, you're going to have to do it with a lot of different kids this year because you were senior heavy last year. You had some good, maybe a little bit. Pitching wise, Henry Biffer, I believe, right? Jackson Torbett. Those two guys did a lot for you guys. You're bringing back a handful of guys that were part of that championship team last year. Talk about that next group, leadership wise. What are you looking for out of those guys?
Yeah, on the mound, you mentioned Torbett and Biffer, and then Drew Patrick as well. We're kind of the anchor of our rotation, and they were all three seniors. But you had Chris Wilhelm and you had Pierce Sturgeon, who both got significant innings as well. Pierce kind of in a starter role early on, and then he moved more to the pen when we kind of figured out that we had a little bit more than we thought we might have had, from DP and some of the other seniors. DP Patrick is a catcher, and we caught him a lot early on, but we knew we were going to want to use him on the mound. He's a Maryville commit on the mound. He's 86, 88 right now, pitching at Maryville. So, we knew he was going to be a weapon for us, but we kind of wanted him as a late season weapon because we wanted him to be able to catch as well. So, Pierce kind of slid into a bullpen role. But if you look at what Chris Wilhelm did, he beat a very good Parkway South team. He pitched extremely well against Lindbergh. And I mean, if you guys know anything about our schedule, we don't duck anyone. We play as many Class 6 and MCC schools as we can. And Chris Wilhelm did a fantastic job competing against those teams.
Chris Wilhelm, I will say to your point, and I look these things up because I want, when you say the names, I hope I have them in the right place. And Chris Wilhelm, 37 innings pitched. He was 3-3. He had a 2.84 ERA, which I think is very good. And you're like, he came up there. The OBA, I always look at this at opponent batting average. I think that's a really telltale sign. You're not giving up a lot. You don't have a lot of base runners. And it was only 201 was the opponent's batting average against for Wilhelm, which I think is tremendous. At high school, that's pretty good. And
I agree. You got to look at who he pitched against. Like, he faced good offenses, good hitting teams, and Chris really only got in trouble when he stopped throwing strikes for a little bit. He would miss the zone.
He walked a few too much. Yeah.
Yeah, but if he was over the plate, he was tough. He's got a great fastball, curveball, changeup combo. Pitches backwards really well. I mean, you're talking about a young man who is, he was like 82, 83 last year. Not overpowering against these Class 6 schools. And he held his own. He pitched his tail off.
30 Ks too, I thought was impressive for a young kid there in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for him and Pierce to anchor our staff this year. They've got the varsity experience.
It's a good way to start.
It is. Yeah. No, it absolutely is. Our senior trio last year, they had varsity experience as juniors. I think that's why they were able to be even more successful as seniors. It's just there's a lot to be said for experience. And at Webster right now, at least, a lot of these guys aren't really getting that varsity experience until they're juniors. So you really look for them to take that big leap as seniors, because they've done it for a year.
Who are the guys, some impact guys, juniors, kids that I don't know about, we don't know about, maybe a sophomore that might get a little time to help your pitching staff?
Yeah, that's the thing. No one really knows about our juniors because they were playing JV last year, sophomores. But we've got some really exciting players. We've got a short porch in right field, right? And I've been praying that we would get a big left-handed hitter every once in a while. It seems like all our big hitters are right-handed. We have some good left-handed hitters. They just don't necessarily produce pop to the pull side. So we've got one in Gavin Blyer, who's a corner infielder, big, strong kid. He looks a lot more physical this year. He's playing a little bit more hard-nosed than what I saw last year, just from the few times that I've seen him already in off-season stuff. But he's definitely got the ability to be a big bat in the middle of our order, being a junior. Man, there's a lot. We had a transfer in from Vianney, Grayson Degenhart, very polished player, Webster kid, Webster resident, just really wanted to go to school with his friends from here on out. And he can catch, he can play the infield, he can do a lot for us. Very heady baseball player, high baseball IQ. Looks like he's going to swing it well for us.
Can I stop you just real quick? Because I'm going to come back to your offense here in just a minute. I wanted to because we were talking about the pitching. I wanted to come back to your pitching a little bit. Who are
Oh,
guys
my
in your?
fault. Yeah.
You're okay, buddy. We're gonna get to the offense because it's the same boat, both sides. But I wanted to
It
kind of
is.
finish out your pitching staff there. Who are guys
Oh,
we
okay.
don't know that
Yeah.
we may see?
Um, you we've got a middle infielder who also pitches in Vinny Lubin.
Hmm.
Vinny is a high level baseball player. He's been playing at a high level for a while. He's about 80, 82 right now. Not the tallest guy, but does a good job getting on the mound and filling up the strike zone. We look to him to be a piece for us on the mound this year. Um, a familiar name in senior Asher Ratah, who was our starting left fielder last year, really played out of his shoes for a while. He is a senior, but he's a lefty, and just what he might be able to offer us on the mound as well. High level soccer player, plays goalie for our for our soccer team. So it's more about just kind of getting him ramped up and ready to pitch. I
Hmm.
mean, he's the other day. I honestly don't think he had touched the ball in 6 months. He comes out there in our off-season workout. He makes a diving play in center, runs the ball down, playing with high energy, hooting and hollering around the field. It's like, man, I love this kid. I love the energy he brings. Um, just didn't skip a beat. So hoping that he can give us some innings on the mound. And then another junior who is now a senior, Evan Mager, who was our best hitter down the stretch when he got back from his injury last year. He didn't pitch at all last year. Um, Big, physical, strong young man. Um, I mean, hits the ball with enormous power, but he's also mid upper 80s off the mound, and he's got a great breaking ball to pair with it. So whether we use him as a closer, whether he slides into the rotation, he's a big arm that we didn't get a chance to use last year, which we would have if he was healthy. So you look at those guys, they can slide right in and give us innings right off the bat. Um, oh man, we got another junior pitcher. He just recently decided he was going to become a pitcher only, and Cam Fowler. Cam will give us some innings, I'm sure. Um, I'm just,
That's
it's
okay.
it's going to be it's going to be a little bit different than last year. Where like I knew going in, like these are the guys, these are who's going to get the innings. Like I'm sure I didn't name someone who's probably going to step up and show me, hey coach, why didn't you say my name on the YBMcast? I'm going to
Yeah.
show you what I could do. Um, and then we've got a couple sophomore arms that I'm really intrigued by too. In Anderson Lukey and Gavin Young, two younger arms that are up around 80 right now. I've known Gavin a long time. I've known Anderson for a few years now, and the work they put in and what I'm seeing from them on the mound, they could be seeing some varsity time as well, which is pretty cool for us. Being able to pull a sophomore up and getting him that experience early on. Um, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
I when you're talking about Asher, I ran into him. We were with the Missouri American Legion Baseball at their annual event, their annual meeting, and he was staying in the same hotel there in Jeff City with Webster Groves. They were playing soccer, and he saw me, stopped, and said hello. He is just a fun kid. I'm with you. His energy,
Yeah.
he plays a little bit and he acts a little bit above his age. He has that maturity. He understands how to talk to people, and I think people kind of naturally follow him, don't they?
Yeah, without a doubt. He's already shown this year that he's going to be a vocal leader, and he wasn't very vocal last year. I think he kind of let the seniors assume that,
Hmm.
excuse me, that role. But no, he's already shown in the first couple off-season practices he's going to be that vocal leader, and you want a high energy guy who kids respect, to lead vocally.
The other kid
So
that kind of you had some kids, some names here that kind of they didn't get a lot of at bats, but some had a little bit of success. Joe Callis, um, Ben, I think is it Niemeyer? Is that correct?
yeah, yeah, Ben Niemeyer. Ben was our catcher last year, for the second half of the season, all the way through our playoff run. Like I said, just to keep Drew's arm fresh. And I respect the heck out of Ben because he put the gear on every day. He called he did a great job calling the games for our pitchers and just being what we needed him to be defensively. And we
Mm-hmm.
DH for Ben. And it's not easy to throw that gear on every day and know that, hey, man, I'm getting 0 at bats out of this, but I'm going to go do whatever I can to help my team win.
Wow.
So big fan of Ben Niemeyer. He recently committed to play baseball at Mississippi Valley State, Division I school down in Mississippi, coached by C.J. Bilbrey, longtime St. Louis baseball guy. So we're excited for Ben. And, we look to Ben to be one of our leaders with the bat this year.
There you go.
Instead of just behind the plate. He's really been working hard on his swing, and he handled it really well, but there's a chip on his shoulder. He's like, man, I got to find a way to get in this lineup. So he's been working hard, and he looks good swinging the stick. So we're excited to get him regular bats. You mentioned Joe Callis. Joe was a senior last year. Maybe was it his brother? So he has a little brother, John.
Maybe
John,
I messed up. Sorry. No, I messed up.
John's a big corner guy for us. He's got a lot of pop. He played JV last year, but we think that's also a bat that could definitely find its way in our lineup, especially if he's hitting the ball in the air for power.
Gotcha.
And then we don't want to forget about Shota Ishiyama. He was our everyday second baseman last year. He's a senior this year. We are more than likely sliding him over to shortstop. Beautiful actions, really, really solid defender. Having, had a little bit of growing pains over the years, moving from second to short in practice, but we think this is the year that it could really all kind of click for him. You watch him field and you're like, okay, that's a high level infielder right there. And, he got it done as a junior in our lineup as well with the stick. So, we're looking for another good year from Shota as well.
I would have thrown that on there on the STL Sports. He was showing as a senior, so that's why I didn't bring him up. Yeah.
Oh,
so
Shota was shown as a senior last year or this year?
Last year. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
2024. It's his senior. So he's a 2025 too, huh? So okay, good. Yeah. All right.
He's a 25.
Well, that makes kind of a different impact there, especially when you get up the middle. You got your catcher coming back. You got. Are you thinking who you looking? Because I always start with that, Dave. I think those are things.
Yeah.
You have your catcher coming back, which is huge, especially with a couple of solid guys that threw last year. You got some younger guys. He understands how to do that. You got a guy up the middle. You don't have your shortstop this year though? Yeah, he was a senior, correct?
Drew Hauser graduated.
Right,
yeah, he graduated.
Now,
Shota got to play next to him every game. Shota got to play second base next to him every game, and I'm already watching Shota interact with our younger infielders and being that leader, that vocal leader that Drew was for him. And I would welcome Drew back on my staff tomorrow as a coach. One of my just favorite individuals. Baseball doesn't matter, like just an awesome kid, just a great person in general, and a true natural born leader when it comes to leading with kindness and with care, but also like getting his point across in a very direct way. And he and Shota had a great relationship that they built. And I know that Drew was in part leaving his mark to be like, okay, Shota, when I go, like, this is your position. Now I need you to assume that mantle. So
who you looking at there? Who's going to be patrolling in the middle in center field?
Asher Rata is what we're looking at.
I
moving
like
from
it.
left field to center field, highly aggressive.
I like it.
And just, you need that guy in center who just is going to go get a baseball. He and our right fielder got into it the other day because he called for the ball. The right fielder called for the ball. Then he called for the ball. Then the right fielder caught the ball. And then, everyone's yelling at the right fielder. It's a center fielder's ball. I just let them. They're both seniors. I let them talk it out. I didn't get in the
work it out.
As long as the ball's caught, I don't really care, to be honest. But no, he wants the baseball, and one of my bugaboos with outfielders is they look to someone else to catch it. It's like, no. I want dudes out there that want the baseball, that are expecting to catch the ball and not expecting somebody else to catch the ball.
Yes.
We're getting that out.
I like that, and let them work that out amongst themselves. They'll figure it out. We don't want we don't want collisions, guys. So work it out.
Right.
But I love that because you got your catcher coming back. You got guys on the mound. You got half of your middle infield back, and your center fielders there. To me, that's how you build. Up the middle
Yeah,
out
you build up
and
the middle. Yeah,
right.
I agree. I mean, don't let it get. Grayson Degenhart, our transfer from Vianney, who's a junior, is a very good catcher as well. So it's going to be hard for Ben to catch every game. Grayson's definitely going to get time behind the dish. Grayson can also help us at third, at short, at second.
Right.
Just a very versatile player. But I mean, we're in a situation where we have two darn good catchers, and sometimes it's hard to have one. So the fact that we have two, we're very, very fortunate, and we can definitely use that to our advantage. Whether it's having Ben play some first base or Ben DH if his legs get tired, we can do a lot of things there. So, we're very excited with that transfer. I mean, he got a couple varsity innings last year at Vianney. It's not easy to get varsity innings as a sophomore at Vianney. So, we're getting a ball player in Grayson, and we're excited about that.
Absolutely. I think it looks good. That part of it, it's always exciting to see. This is why we do these. We want to see, here you are, you were one game away from a state championship. You're retooling a bit. You lost a lot of seniors, but it looks like you've got a lot of guys, a lot of pieces in place. It's just now it's putting them all, getting everybody to play and going back in that same direction, correct?
Yeah, it's getting the boys to play together. It's getting the chemistry built up I mean, big thing with that senior class is those 13 kids, I would say probably 10 of them played together from the time they were 8 and 9 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they grew up playing baseball together, and we're kind of in a similar boat with our current seniors and juniors, where they've been playing together for a long time too in the summer. When they were younger also. Um, I mean, I tell people when they ask us how we're going to be, because everyone's looking at it like, well, you graduated 13 seniors, so obviously you're not going to be as good as you were last year. Um, I think we can be just as competitive, to be honest. And that's no knock on our seniors from last year; they were fantastic. But
Right.
we've got some really intriguing and exciting pieces here um, in our sophomore, junior, and senior classes. And I think offensively we could be even more dangerous than we were last year. On the mound, it's going to be hard to be better than Torbett, Patrick, and Bifford were. But I know Wilhelm, I know Sturgeon, I know some of these junior arms. Like they know what it takes to be successful at Webster with our defense behind them, pitching the way we do on our turf. Um, they've been preparing for that. So I think we're poised again to make a run in Class 5. um, it kind of starts with districts, and you don't know what your district is until the season starts. So, maybe I don't know. There's rumblings that Vianney could be Class 5. I don't know. If Vianney's Class 5,
I
that kind of throws a wrench in everything. So,
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen from what I've heard. I don't think so. From all the as many brains as I've heard talking about this, I think they're going to be in six still until I think
yeah,
maybe one more year with the championship points and all that. But,
right.
you know,
I think COVID is keeping
kind of,
them six for one more year.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now I got to finish with this, Dave. Um, you guys are in the St. Louis Suburban Red. All
Yes.
right. Um, that is a very tough conference. Looking at your district, your class 5, not one of the teams in your conference is in your district. How do you play the conference schedule? What is that thought process here with that moving forward? I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, setting goals and what do you want to do? How important are these things? And I think with the way they set things up, and you're a Class 5 school, and you've got only two other Class 5 schools in your conference, with Parkway Central, and I believe it's mm, is it? Oh man, maybe it's just you two.
I think it's just us in Central this year because Ladue moved down to the Green
Ladue.
Pool.
Ladue.
Yeah,
That's
they moved
right.
down. Kirkwood moved from yellow to red, but that's another Class 6 school that gets to join our fun red conference. And
Yes.
I'm not shy in saying this. I know that they tier them yellow's the best, red second best, and so forth. No, man, I'm putting the red conference up against the yellow conference. Some of these teams are ridiculous. I mean, the arms that Oakville has, the firepower Parkway South and Seckman have. Parkway Central always competes year in and year out. Hazelwood West is well coached. They play hard. Northwest, another. I mean, every school. Yeah, we could go over in that conference. That is
Right.
100% conceivable that we don't win a single game in our conference. Um, it was a bigger accomplishment last year, talent wise, to win our conference than it was to win our district. it's it's yeah. I mean, you just got to look at it that way. We were very fortunate to play some great baseball against those good teams and pull out that conference win. Um, I'm not going to lie, I don't foresee us winning our conference this year.
Mm-hmm.
I foresee us competing and giving
Yeah.
it our best, but I wouldn't pick us to win it. I don't think that'd be an honest thing for me to do, knowing what some of these schools have. But I'm thrilled that I get to play them, that we get to go up head to head against them, that our guys get to see the arms that they have. Because when we get into the Class 5 playoffs, nothing we see is going to surprise us. Nothing we see is going to be anything we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Sullivan's still at Parkway South, Oakville. I don't care. Take your pick, Kilburn or Lake. And I know
Did you
Seckman, they
see?
just,
Did you see Lake? Did you see Lake was up to 95 the other day in a bullpen?
it's what I heard. It's what I heard.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, who would I rather see? Adam Kilburn, CJ Lake, Jack Workowicz, Aiden Zangley. I mean, take your pick, man. I mean, it's don't forget about Gabe Hulsing, another upper 80s lefty. So, Coach Sturm has an embarrassment of riches arm wise there. He's gonna get everything he can out of those guys. And then
It's,
yeah,
it,
Seckman.
they just hit the crap out of the ball every year, man.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yep.
And so, I just think looking down of it, and I have to say this, so because it's the rivalry game, and I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be rude or whatnot. We're going to be out there, Kirkwood. You've lost the last three to Kirkwood, as we've been
Yeah,
there, and so is that going to change?
man, I sure hope so. So I will say this: 2 years ago, in the Lindbergh Melville tournament, we did beat Kirkwood when all their seniors were on spring break. Okay.
I love it.
So we've got to win with an asterisk sandwiched in between a ton of L's. But yeah, it is that, and it's a game that our guys get up for, and it's a little different now that it's this early in the season. I hope it's not too cold, but they're going to be fired up for it. They're ready to rock and roll. They're already talking about it. Obviously, they want to be the group that takes Kirkwood down under the lights at Baldwin. Because, I mean, even before I was there, I think we might have lost or beat them by one in a Tyson James versus that stud righty from Kirkwood. I mean, it's a battle. It doesn't matter. We could both be 0-10 going into that game. We could both be 10-0. They could have 10 D1 guys on the field. I could have 0, and it's always going to be a dogfight. Like, it just, talent finds a way to come out in those games. There's a lot of emotion there. It's tempering that emotion and making sure the players can stay a little bit more even keeled and kind of not let those emotions take over. But we got you guys there live streaming. We've got fans in the stands. One of the few high school games where spectators can drink beer. Like, it gets rowdy, and it's under the lights at a neutral location. It's the game of the week for a reason.
That's right, and it kicks off. We're excited about doing more St. Louis Suburban Conference games this year, and you guys are. We've done this game This is we got rained out last year. Remember? That's right.
We did. Yeah, we had to play the game at Webster, and you guys couldn't make it.
Yep, and so we got rained out last year, so hopefully that ain't going to happen. We'll be back this year. We're looking for it. It is a great venue. It is a great atmosphere. It's a lot of fun. We've enjoyed it, and not to mention, it's going to be interesting for me because the young man that is now coaching at head coach at Kirkwood played baseball with my son as a youth. Max
Yeah,
Spitzmiller.
I saw Max at the coaches convention, and he told me that he played with Drew, and I was like, oh man, okay, all right.
And he played with Justin. He played with my son Justin. Yeah. Yeah. So and so it was kind of, this is kind of surreal for me here a little bit, Dave. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm that old, bro. So, it's just one of those things.
The last time I went up against Kirkwood, their head coach had me by double my age, and now I'm coaching against a dude that graduated in 2017. I feel old now. I'm like, my goodness, this is crazy.
It just happens, man.
From Coach Weiss, you go from Coach Weissman to Coach Spitzmiller. That's like a 60-year difference right there. Like, it had me thrown off.
So there's a lot of great storylines in this. I'm looking forward to it. It's great as always. And Dave, I always enjoy our conversations and appreciate you taking the time today to talk to us about your program.
Absolutely. I love talking about our guys, and I love that you guys are able to highlight all these players. That's what it's all about, highlighting these kids, listening to the GAC South previews and listening to the coaches go about their kids. It's really cool to see. And it's like, some of them say, watching them from the time they're freshmen to now they're seniors, and how much they've developed, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and gone from being a kid to a grown man. There's nothing better. So it's a lot of fun talking about them.
Absolutely. Folks, head coach, Webster Groves High School, Dave Wiggins. Hey, make sure you get out. All you Webster Groves fans, get out and support your group. It's going to be a lot of fun watching this baseball team this year again. As always, appreciate it, Dave. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Please, if you like what we're doing, subscribe. Hit that like button. Follow us. We appreciate it. Until next time, everybody have a great day in the Lord. Pitchers, give some advice to... There you go. He knows it. Hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.